You know, don't split a 45 right in the middle because then you end up with two of the same thing. Go off a little bit to one side so you have other stuff to try. Cut what you think is right. Just make the cut. The less you think about it, the better. Just trust your gut and start holding it up to other stuff. That's how you make things. And if you don't know that story, that analogy with the teacher in the jar, I don't know if you even grew up in America. So back in Texas, I ran to Pennsylvania to get to Monte Carlo. It's all finished, got a fresh paint job now. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. We talk about it a little bit. I'm gonna do another video after this one, going over the car and what happened to it during the accident. I'll show you pictures, and they took like 80 pictures during the fixing process of all the stuff they did, which is pretty cool. We'll go over all that, all the stuff together in the next video. But today, we'll be working on Uncle Rob. Gonna, you know, keep plugging away on this thing. We are going to build the charge pipe that goes from the turbo to the intercooler. We're gonna put that other charge pipe on and figure out where the blow-off valve's gonna go. And I'm also going to finish weld the crossover that I made. Once it's finished welded, then I can put it in there and start to eye up where the wastegate's gonna go. Now I'm thinking the video for the blow-off valve and wastegate installation will be a separate video so we can talk about placement, why it goes where it does, and things of that nature. But yeah, so that's the agenda for today. I'm gonna get this thing back on the ground so it's easier to work on, first of all, because I don't wanna have to like stand up on the thingy. So let's go do that. Well, we got the manifold on, set the turbo on there. I'm just kind of mocking up where the clocking of this is gonna be. So everything is like loose right now. We can all turn it. I'm just get this out of the way too. But I'm gonna set where the center section is, because the turbine housing is where the turbine housing is going to be. It's just how it is. So I'm going to make sure this is pointed straight up and down, and then take the 13 and just snug up a couple of these just so it doesn't turn on me again. Not really a big deal. It's definitely not going to go anywhere now, but now I'll be able to clock the compressor housing independently of everything else, so this just won't be doing stupid stuff. So let me get this out of the way now. It's annoying me. So that's just pushed out of the way now. I'm not going to take it off because it's going to spill everywhere, and I don't feel like cleaning that right now. I can make this pipe with it pushed out of the way just fine. So you can see we got our movement here, and somewhere inside here I have a 3" 90 that I'm going to put on here. See, I may have to end up taking this off anyway. I don't know. I got to find that coupler and go from there. But there's all kinds of stuff in here that never actually got unpacked from Florida, just all of our random parts and pieces for this thing. So I'm gonna dig through this and see what we got. Oh, that might be it right there. Yeah. Oh, that's one of them. Wait, we'll go to the other side. Be better. You can see all the paint supplies in there that we use for Cooper's garage. I'm gonna use the same poles and stuff to do that wall over there. But you know, my fire suit. Yeah, we got one here. This. This is the side that is complete. Shoot. Yeah, this piece here will go in here on that side. We got it on here. This is actually the one that was already on here that Adrian and Cole did when the turbo was like up here. But yeah, I just used it, shove that bad boy on there, and now we have a solid point to build pipe from. Start here, snake around, boom. But let's get this grill off now so we can actually do stuff. There's this really cool headlight mod in here you would have seen if you watched those other videos, but I'm gonna point it out again in a little bit. It's got a couple quarter turn fasteners up there. There's a 10 mil bolt that goes in here, but it just didn't get put back in the last time this came off. So I just wheeled Ashton's tool cart over here, because I don't really have a ton of my own tools yet. So whenever they're not here, his box is the most organized, and I put everything right back where I found it because it has a spot to be put back into. That's a big part of staying organized, is when you have a designated spot for something, you know where to put it back at. So just do that and things stay the same. My dad hit a deer with this thing when I was little. I remember sitting in the back seat. He was like screwing with the radio, like he'd put it on Kids Bop and Radio Disney and then turn it all the way up just to annoy me and my sister. And he was doing that once and hit a deer. I remember that, and it like cracked the grill and stuff. I remember going back to the house and all this, and he's like, "Oh, it's gonna need a new grill." And I said, "Oh, can they save the badge from it to, because I want it, because I think none of the tabs were cracked." So they, when he had it fixed, they kept the original GMC logo badge, and I actually have that in my old bedroom back in Pennsylvania still, which is pretty cool. And it's funny because it's in better condition than this one is now. This intercooler came from Boosted Boy Kyle's 240 SX with the J swap in it, I think. I'm not like worldly in that terminology yet. I think that's what he said. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure. So yeah, probably a couple SR20s been blown up through this thing. God only knows what, but we're gonna run it anyway because it's already on here. And it should be just fine for the, 600 something horsepower this thing is gonna make it. If it's not fine, then I will upgrade it to a larger, more efficient one, and we will document the difference on the dyno to show you how an intercooler can become a restriction. That's actually kind of something I'm hoping for here, is I hope I get to elaborate on that topic and show you why it matters, the difference it makes when you put a properly sized intercooler on something if the one you have is a restriction. But now we can get to making this pipe here. I'll put a silicone coupler on here, then we can get going through there. But first, I'm gonna put this pipe on just because it makes me feel good to look at it. I just had to get the clutch fan off, get it broken loose. And what I did is I just put a vice grip in here, and then, crescent wrench, boom, like that, and then bang on it with a hammer. And what kept happening is the vice grip kept getting like, twist down. And I was like, okay, well, what the heck? It would twist down, I'd put it back. It'd twist down, I'd put it back. And then I thought, maybe if I just keep banging on it, it'll just wedge itself in there and I won't have to do that. Well, that's what happened. It just wedged itself in there and the fan clutch hub nut thingy actually came loose. This is about how we took it off the first time, which was harder because it had never come off, but I was actually surprised at how tight this was. When we screwed it back on there, we just screwed it on and just didn't actually try to tighten it because the wind force of the motor turning would just inherently tighten it. It tightens it a lot. So this method will work even if it has never come off before. But now that that's done, get this the rest of the way off here. Happy that this is actually working this way. It's not the most efficient process because it does turn a little bit slower, but yep. And this is never ever going back on for real this time. Now that that is out of the way, hopefully I didn't bend that pulley or something. I don't think so. I actually watched that method from a YouTube video done by somebody else, I can't remember, but it works. And now I will put this back because it's Ashton's. That is not Ashton's, so it's on the floor for that reason. Now let's get this pipe put on here. See if I can snake this through here, maybe this way. Came out somehow. Don't actually know. I don't recall. Oh, I think I know. If you haven't seen those older videos at Cooper's shop, go watch them because there are remnants of what was done there that live on in this current iteration. One of which is this right here, if I can ever get this freaking bulb out. So Adrian made the charge pipe without the headlight installed. And then we go to put the headlight back in, it didn't fit. So we thought, oh, we'll have to cut the headlight. What are we gonna do? Well, how about you just melt it and then squish it on there anyway? It worked just fine. And it actually, it only disturbed a little bit of the chrome inside the headlight. If we didn't get anxious, you would have never noticed that this was like that. So tech tip, you can melt headlights to conform if you forget to build your charge pipe with it already there. let that be a lesson to you. You have to leave all of your immovable components where they're gonna be to build the pipe around it. Like, you ever hear the story of the school teacher in the jar with the pebbles, the golf balls, and the sand? Like, if you put the sand in first, you don't fit any pebbles in there. If you put the golf balls in first, then the pebbles, then the sand, you can fit it all in there, but you can't start by putting the sand in there. Stuff like the headlights, those are your golf balls. They gotta go in there first, you build around them. And if you don't know that story, that analogy with the teacher in the jar, I don't know if you even grew up in America, so deal with it. Get this in here. This really doesn't need to be in here to make that other pipe, but I like looking at it, so we're gonna put it in here just because I like it, okay? And this pipe go like this. If this were like a one and done turbo kit, I'd really like to use V-bands on everything, but in the name of like DIY, show people what they can do in their own garage, doing it like this. And if it has any issues where they blow off or anything like that, I will then go back and make V-band ones, and this will be future content. But right now, this is just like bare bones. I'm gonna turbo my daily driver. That's what we're doing here. That side's all on, and we'll put this headlight back in here. You can see what I'm talking about. Well, I'll get this button back up, and we will get to chopping pipe for the other side in moments. But due to the magic of editing, it'll happen right now. Got this piece of pipe. I'm pretty sure it's gonna fit in here just like this. Stick it in there. Yeah, see, this one doesn't need to get melted to fit. But I can already anticipate that this pipe is gonna be cut back, and I'm gonna have another piece that's gonna come, you know, it's gonna angle out like this and join up to this boy here somewhere along the line. I'm just gonna mark this one where I know it needs to be cut to resume the making of things. I'm gonna go a little bit back from the radiator because the bend will carry it around this curvature. So we're gonna go back right there. That'll do the job. It just now occurred to me that I'm probably gonna have to take this headlight back out. Maybe I won't, maybe I won't, maybe I won't. Oh, then again, maybe she will. A Lil Wayne reference. Good song, by the way. Definitely one of my all-time jams. But now let's get this saw here and get to chopping. If you're wondering why I opened this door, did I open the door to fling the chips outside so I wouldn't have to clean them up? That is definitely not the reason I did that, even though it's really cold outside. Just chopped another one here. We're gonna see how this goes. If you've watched any of my tube fab videos before, I'll say it, if you haven't, I'll say it again. There's really no rhyme or reason to this specificity at where you cut stuff. It's just, you gotta use your eye and you eventually acquire a feel for it. But when you don't know what you're doing, just cut what you think is right. Just make the cut. The less you think about it, the better. Just trust your gut and start holding it up to other stuff. That's how you make things. I could have gone farther on this and maybe even taken a straight shot. Maybe I could do that. I'm going to adjust this clamp. If I can adjust that clamp and I see that it can be a straight shot, I will then use this piece as a guide to another one. I'll hold it up to it and I'll mark out the angle just a little bit farther up to kind of like use this one as okay, it needs to be that much more when I'm holding it up. So I go that much more on the mark I make on the next one. And I'll use this for something else later. Now, I've also said before, when you're gonna make a cut, don't make it a little bit off, like, you know, don't split a 45 right in the middle, because then you end up with two of the same thing. Go off a little bit to one side so you have other stuff to try. I did that here, and the angle that I cut off of this ended up, you know, it was like that. The angle I cut off of this turns out to work freaking perfectly. How about that? That's exactly why I do it that way. Now I don't have to cut another piece. But the straight pieces that come off of these 90s are not long enough to make that run. So I'm gonna have to find out how much of a straight section I'm gonna need off of this one and how much I want it to stick into this silicone for the clamp to grab onto. I will cut that, tape it up, and then that's it. This pipe is finished. I still have to weld it, but the figuring out part is finished, which is really cool. So I'm gonna make some marks to mark this piece to that piece, tape it up, put it in there, and then I can measure for the final piece to this pipe. So for ease of getting it in and out, I'm just gonna leave the headlight out. I know it fits, so we're good there. But for this, you can see that's about how much I want it to stick into the silicone. I'm gonna cut it right there. So here we go. Well, dang, I actually was just about to cut this and I found a straight piece on the ground that I did not see before. Check this out. It is, okay, it is basically the same length. So I don't even have to cut this. I'm just gonna use this one. How about that? I gotta say that was way easier than I thought it was gonna be. Check this out. It's done. I mean, this clamp is ugly, or like this boot is ugly. I would get one that's just a straight, but this was like a straight piece harvested from a 90. Yeah, this is what was laying around. But I'll get a nice looking one for that. But like, dang, dude, it's money. Now we have the crossover is done. We have a charge pipe to the intercooler. We have the intercooler to the throttle body. That's a whole turbo kit, minus, like, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Like, we still need blow off valve, wastegate, downpipe, simple stuff. But this is the meat of the turbo kit right here. We got there. Pretty sweet. So now I'm gonna take this back off, fire up the old Fronius Magic Wave. And because it's already on a DC setting from the last time I used it, I'm gonna finish weld the crossover, flip it over to AC, and get this bad boy tacked up, test fit it again just so I make sure it's good, and then I'll finish weld that. So there we go. Crossover is finished welded except the V-band. And because I'm not going to do that yet, I just want to make sure it's at the right angle before it gets sent home, because the rest of it is relatively easy to change. It shouldn't really move, but that may move just a little bit. So I'm going to hold off on that. Until then, pull this out, get it tacked up so we can make sure it fits again before we finish weld at home. So let's do that now. Got this mofo all tacked up. Didn't show that on the time lapse because you just watched me weld for a couple of minutes anyway. Use your imagination. Let's get this in here. See how it fits up. Now, I know I've said before normally that you shouldn't have any like straight pieces in here, and that's true, but this thing is a little bit different. It's just, you know, it's a bare bones, simple daily driver. So it doesn't really matter to me if I use a straight piece in an angle. If it fits, I'm going to use it to save pipe, because I'm going to use that pipe for something of more of like a show type quality, like the Monte Carlo, or, you know, something like that. And I apologize, my hair is probably a disaster right now. It's getting pretty long. I need to get it cut, but not the back part though. Just, you know, just up here, trim this a little better. Get this on here, verify fitment, and then we'll go finish weld it. So everything fits. It's all good. It fits well enough that like these clamps aren't stressed either. Like these couplers, a lot of times you see pipes don't really fit right. They gotta like cheat it with the coupler bending. It's not that way here. It's like, it's very free, which is good. Turbo is down. It's not bolted down, but I got a couple through bolts there, and it's just sitting on this flange. I've checked everywhere, made sure it's flush. Everything is good. It's good. We are ready to finish weld this thing right now. All finished up on the finish welding here. I freaking love this Fronius Magic Wave. This thing, it just is a tank on aluminum. It just, every time I get in there, I can just roll. Just do my thing, and it never lets me down. It's awesome. If you've ever used one on aluminum, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna get that pipe stuck on there and just look at it. Just look at it when it's done now. and we'll go over the blow-off valve and wastegate in a little bit, just so you can see what the next step is going to be in this build before we wrap this video up. Well, there you go. This pipe is done. It's not, obviously not where it's going to be because it's not clamped down yet, but you get the picture. All done there. Check out this wastegate and blow-off valve here. It's from Tial. They're freaking awesome units. They look so freaking good. They've got the polished ones. They are proud supporters of this build, which I'm pretty freaking stoked about, because like, it's Tial, dude. They're like the OGs. It doesn't get any better than Tial, and they're all about this thing. They work closely with Force Performance, because Force Performance is its own deal. Yeah, Tial is its own deal, but they combined to form Zonarotor. So that's the association with that. Zonarotor is a collaboration between Force Performance and Tial. I did some whole videos on that at the plant with Robert from Force Performance / Zonarotor, talking about all that stuff. They were really cool. He's got a boosted Tahoe. We're gonna go do some stuff with him pretty soon here too. He actually needs to borrow the big old fatties so he doesn't spit on the dyno, which I'm pretty pumped about because I want to see this Tahoe do some ripping. But anyway, yeah, this blow-off valve, you know, I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but we're going to figure that out. I'm super pumped to make progress on this thing. It's all coming together. Like 2021, it's going to be just awesome stuff. So we got Uncle Rob at the Monte Carlo. Its name is Ralph, if you didn't know that already. Yep, figure that one out for yourself. But yeah, and the Escalade is still, you know, waiting for some heads. That'll happen eventually, but honestly, I'm not too concerned with it because I want to get this going. I want to get this happening. And on top of that, Uncle George is coming into the picture too. My 1993 Suburban, you know, the white one. I've posted pictures of it on Instagram, but you should follow me there if you don't, at Stapleton42 with a little underscore at the end. Follow me there because you will pick up on tidbits as to what's coming up if you haven't seen it here already. I've probably talked about it over there first. Lots of stuff happening. I'm going to pick up a motor for Uncle George in the next couple weeks here, and that is going to knock your freaking socks off. I'll tell you what, I'm so pumped about this, like so pumped. More or less, I'm just getting Uncle Rob done because I know once the Uncle George comes into the picture, I'm really not going to want to pay attention to anything else because I'm just going to be so horned up about this thing. But anyway, I've said too much. By the way, if you want one of the shirts I'm wearing here, you can get those at StapletonAutoWorks.com. It helps me out. I can sign it if you want me to. Just put it in the order notes. I write a thank you note in every single one because I care about you guys. If you watch this entire video, you're a G. I appreciate you. I couldn't do this fun stuff without you watching anyway, so I'm grateful beyond words, really. I got a handful of shirts to pack and ship tomorrow, so let's get to it. Also, I got some hats. I don't know how to package these, so I'm gonna have to do some research on that before I get them on there, but they're coming. Also, do you want to see hoodies? Thinking about that too. I got a couple testers in here. You may have seen me wearing them before, but yeah, this is what they would look like pretty much. So let me know what you want to see.